Hello students, today we are going to discuss breathing and exchange of gases, respiratory system. In humans, what is the mechanism of the breathing or respiration, how the exchange of respiratory gases takes place, we will discuss in detail. In this topic, we come across these subtopics: introduction of the respiration, human respiratory system, mechanism of breathing, respiratory volumes, exchange of gases, transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide, regulation of respiration, and disorders of respiratory system. Now let us see in detail. Respiration is a catabolic process. Respiration is catabolic process in which oxygen is essential for breakdown of nutrients like glucose, amino acids, fatty acids to release. Nothing but to get energy, there is a breakdown of nutrients. Such breakdown process is required of oxygen. So, continuous supply of oxygen to the cells of body is mandatory for this catabolic process where breakdown of nutrients takes place and energy release. In this catabolic process, utilization of oxygen is must. In this process, after breakdown of nutrients into energy, we also observe the production of CO2 in the cells. Whatever the amount of CO2 produced in cells has to be sent out from the body into atmosphere. Therefore, we can say there is a need of exchange of oxygen from atmosphere to the body and CO2 from cells to the atmosphere is necessary. Such exchange of the gases itself is breathing or respiration. When we see this respiratory system, the mechanism of respiration right from the lower organisms to higher level of animals, there are so many differences we observe basing on their level of organization as well as their habitats. Habitats and level of organization are the two factors. Accordingly, the mechanism and respiratory organs develop in different groups of animals. In lower grade organisms like poriferans, protozoans, cnidarians, and even platyhelminthes, where the exchange of gases performed by the surface of the body by simple diffusion, exchange of gases takes place through body surface. When we come to the annelida, where body wall is playing vital role in respiration, the body of annelids covered by cuticle. Cuticle is always with moisture and also vascularized. So, there is a possibility of exchange of gases through cuticle, hence we call that as cuticular respiration. When we go to arthropods, where we come across aquatic arthropods as well as terrestrial arthropods. In aquatic arthropods, vascularized structures called gills take part in respiration, whereas in terrestrial arthropods like insects, there are respiratory tubes present which are called trachea. There the respiration is called tracheal system. In the same way, when we see in molluscans like aquatic arthropods, vascularized gills play role in respiration. In case of echinoderms, water vascular system or ambulacral system helps in exchange of respiratory system. There are no specific respiratory organs in echinoderms. When we come to the chordates, in fishes as they are aquatic, once again gills play a role in respiration. They help in exchange of respiratory gases, which is called branchial respiration. In case of amphibians, reptiles, aves and mammals, as they are terrestrial animals, respiration is performed by vascularized sac-like structures called lungs. The respiration is pulmonary respiration. In such a way, in different groups of animals, basing on their habitat and levels of organization, various kinds of respiratory structures involving in respiration, but the mechanism behind the process is same, that is by simple diffusion. Whether it is unicellular protozoan, or you go for poriferan, or we can go for annelids, arthropods, fishes, amphibians, reptiles, apes and mammals. Definitely there must be a permeable membrane through which exchange of gases should take place, that is by simple diffusion. In such a way we come across so many respiratory organs in different animals. Now let us come to the human respiratory system, how it is developed. As man is a terrestrial animal, one pair of lungs, pulmonary sacs, very well developed. So pulmonary sacs are involved in respiration, we call that as pulmonary respiration. For this we have to see the respiratory tract in human body. In human body we should observe the respiratory tract, how the atmospheric air get enter into the body, how the exchange of gases takes place. For that we have to see the structures whatever we come across in respiratory tract. This is a mouth guarded by two lips, upper lip and lower lip. Above the upper lip there are a pair of external nostrils. There are a pair of external nostrils which open into nasal chamber. Nasal chamber. Through these external nostrils, atmospheric air enter into the nasal chamber. This nasal chamber is get separated from buccal chamber, horizontally extended palate. Palate is separating the nasal chamber from buccal chamber. This nasal chamber has been divided into three regions. The first region is vestibular part, the second one is respiratory part, and third one is olfactory part. Nasal chamber divided into vestibular part, respiratory part and olfactory part. Vestibular part is provided with sebaceous glands which release some sticky substance and also provided with small hair. The hair and sticky substances always prevent the entry of dust particles into respiratory tract. Simply we can say this is a protection to the respiratory system, as the dust particles whatever enter into the nasal chamber along with inhaled air, that will be trapped in vestibular part. Then the air pass through respiratory part, where the air is being conditioned to the body temperature. It is conditioned to the body temperature, hence we can consider the respiratory part as air conditioner. The temperature of the air must bring to the body temperature. And third one is olfactory part. This is totally lined with olfactory epithelium which take part in perceiving the sense of smell of substances. It is nowhere get connected with respiration. The epithelial tissue, whatever lining on olfactory region, which are get connected with the central nervous system to analyze the quality, the smell of the substance. In such a way, the nasal chamber then continues into the next part of the respiratory tract, which is pharynx. Pharynx is a narrow tubular structure. It is a structure through which both food and respiratory gases will pass. Hence, we consider this as a common passage for food as well as respiratory gases. The region of the pharynx which get connected with the nasal chamber is called nasopharynx. The region of pharynx that connect with the buccal chamber is called oropharynx. There is no structural difference. There is no functional difference. Just the pharynx, whatever the region get connected with the nasal chamber is nasopharynx, and the region connecting with the buccal chamber is called oropharynx. And then we can call this as a laryngopharynx. This laryngopharynx bifurcates into esophagus and then to larynx. Means into this laryngopharynx, on one side esophagus will get connect, and another side the respiratory tract get connect. The food from buccal chamber will pass through oropharynx, then into esophagus, and the respiratory gases will pass through nasal chamber, nasochamber, laryngopharynx, then to respiratory tract. When we see this laryngopharynx, it continues as larynx. Laryngopharynx open into larynx. Larynx is considered as voice box since it produces sound. It is a bulged, a sac-like structure which is made up of 9 cartilage plates. It is made up of 9 cartilage plates provided with a pair of vocal cords. Provided with a pair of vocal cords. So, larynx or voice box which produce sound, which is made up of 9 cartilage plates, which is provided with a pair of vocal cords, they play a role in production of sound. In males, vocal cords are thick and short and produce low pitch, whereas in females, vocal cords are very thin and long. They produce high pitch. The sound production structure is larynx, provided with vocal cords. In males, they are thick and short, produce low pitch, and in females, vocal cords are thin and long, they produce high pitch. This vocal voice box or larynx that open into the trachea. Trachea is a long tubular structure which is very wide, and generally we call that as a windpipe. Trachea is a long tubular structure which is very wide, and generally we call that as a windpipe. The walls of the trachea is made up of pseudostratified ciliated epithelium. The walls are very thin and foldable. To give support to such thin foldable walls of trachea, we can observe there are C-shaped cartilage rings which are made up of hyaline cartilage. Hyaline cartilage made C-shaped rings present along the length of trachea in order to prevent collapse of the walls of trachea. Such C-shaped rings can be seen from ventral side and laterals, but on dorsal they are not present. C-shaped cartilaginous rings present along the length of the trachea in order to provide support to the walls to prevent collapse, as the walls are very thin and made up of pseudostratified ciliated epithelium. Such trachea internally lined with mucus glands that also help in trapping the dust particles or microbes, whatever that enter into the respiratory tract along with the respiratory inhaled gas. So, this trachea extends from the neck region to the thoracic region. In thoracic region, at the fifth thoracic vertebra, it divides into 2 branches which are called primary bronchi, one on right side, one on left side. Right primary bronchi and left primary bronchi, they are given out from trachea in the thoracic cavity at the region of 5th thoracic vertebra. Each bronchi that enters into the corresponding lungs or pulmonary sacs that located in the thoracic cavity. Each pulmonary sac looks a bulged bulb-like structure present on either side of the thoracic cavity into which the primary bronchi enters. Soon, this primary bronchi, after entering into the thoracic pulmonary sac, that divides into number of branches, they are called secondary bronchi, further divided into tertiary bronchi. Each tertiary bronchi further divides into primary bronchioles, then they divide into secondary bronchioles and then into tertiary bronchioles. Finally, we come across the terminal bronchioles. Terminal bronchioles we see. Now let us see inside what is the structure of different structures we come across. Primary bronchi divides into secondary bronchi, secondary into tertiary bronchi. Each tertiary bronchi divide into primary bronchiole, each primary into secondary bronchiole, each secondary into tertiary bronchiole, and every tertiary bronchiole into terminal bronchioles. In such a way, you will see the division of bronchi and bronchioles spread like the branches of the tree. It looks like inverted branches of tree inside the lungs. Trachea, primary bronchi, secondary bronchi, tertiary bronchi, primary bronchiole, secondary bronchiole. Tertiary bronchioles are provided with the C-shaped cartilaginous rings in order to provide support to the walls of bronchioles, whereas the terminal bronchioles are devoid of such C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Now let us see how the terminal bronchiole ends into the respiratory exchange sites. Each terminal bronchiole divides into number of branches. They are called alveolar ducts. They are alveolar ducts. Each alveolar duct open into a round bulbular structure. These are called alveoli. So, trachea into primary bronchi, secondary bronchi, tertiary bronchi, primary bronchiole, secondary bronchiole, tertiary bronchiole that enter into terminal bronchiole. Each terminal bronchiole divides into number of branches. They are called alveolar duct. Every alveolar duct open into a sac-like structure called alveoli. This is the actual site of exchange of gases, the actual site of exchange of respiratory gases. Each alveoli is with thin vascularized wall made with 3 layers. The wall is very thin, of course, made with 3 layers. The first one is alveolar layer or alveolar wall. In the middle, we can see basement membrane and one more layer, that is endothelium. These are the 3 layers that we can see here. Alveolar layer, in the middle basement layer, and this is endothelium. There the actual exchange of respiratory gases takes place. This is regarding the structures whatever we come across in the lungs. When we see the structure of the lung, the wall of the lung is covered by 2 layers. One is outer pleural layer, the second one is inner pleural layer. Outer pleural layer attached with thoracic cavity, whereas inner pleural layer connects with or it covers the wall of the lung. So you will find a gap between the 2 pleural layers, which is called pleural cavity, which is filled with pleural fluid. Because of this fluid, lungs are being protected from external shocks and mechanical forces and also prevented from friction. The lungs are being protected because of pleural fluid, which is located or present in between outer and inner pleural layers. They are covering over the lungs outer layer lining the thoracic cavity, whereas inner layer covering on the wall of the lung. Now let us see muscles which are associated with the respiratory organs. This is diaphragm, and one can see here this is trachea and divide into bronchi, and these are lungs. Apart from the structures whatever we discussed now in regard with respiratory structures, there are two types of muscles we come across. They too play a role in respiration. One is phrenic muscles and the second one is intercostal muscles. Phrenic muscles and intercostal muscles. Phrenic muscles are associated with diaphragm. Phrenic muscles are associated with the diaphragm, whereas intercostal muscles are present in between the ribs. The contraction and relaxation of these muscles also play vital role in respiration. These lungs are present in thoracic cavity. How the thoracic cavity is formed? When we see the thoracic cavity, it is formed dorsally by vertebral column. We will see the vertebral column extending on dorsal side, on this mid of the dorsal side from neck to the sciatic region. So on dorsal side, thoracic cavity is provided with a vertebral column. On ventral side, we can see the sternum. On laterals, we can see ribs. So on laterals, ribs, ventral, sternum, dorsal, a vertebral column, all collectively together form a rib cage. In this rib cage, we can see lungs are placed. This cage is called thoracic cavity. And also posteriorly, lungs are being protected by the diaphragm, which is separating the thoracic region from abdomen. It is separating the thoracic region from abdomen. So these are the structures that we come across in human respiratory system. Now let us see the mechanism of respiration. The mechanism of respiration includes two stages. One is inspiration, the second one is expiration. Inhalation of oxygen into the body, exhalation of CO2 from the body into atmosphere. For inspiration and for expiration, there is a need of some conditions. To inhale the air, there is a negative intrapulmonary pressure. There is a need of negative intrapulmonary pressure is required. How it takes place? During inspiration, phrenic muscles of diaphragm contracts, it will become flat. As a result, the thoracic cavity volume increases anterior-posteriorly. In the same way, whatever the intercostal muscles present in between ribs also contract. Intercostal muscles are of two types: external intercostal muscles, internal intercostal muscles. And external intercostal muscles will contract. When they contract, sternum, ribs will be pulled off. They pulled off. Thus, the thoracic cavity area increases dorso and ventrally. Dorso-ventrally increases because external intercostal muscles when contract, ribs and sternum will be pulled off. Then ultimately, thoracic cavity volume increases dorso-ventrally, and because of contraction of the phrenic muscles of diaphragm, thoracic cavity volume increases anterior-posteriorly. As a result, thoracic cavity volume when increases, the pressure inside the thoracic cavity become very less. That is negative intrapulmonary pressure. As a result of this, the atmospheric air easily inhaled into the respiratory system that cause inspiration. Expiration, when we see, it is in exactly vice versa. So far, whatever the phrenic muscles of diaphragm contracted, they come to their position, they relax. Diaphragm reaches to its original position. Thus, anterior-posterior volume of thoracic cavity will be reduced. In the same way, external intercostal muscles also relax. Thus, the thoracic cavity volume dorsoventrally also compressed. As a result of the compression of thoracic cavity, the intrapulmonary pressure goes on increasing. As a result, the air will be pushed off from the thoracic cavity and that released into the atmosphere. In such a way, the phrenic muscles of diaphragm and external intercostal muscles of ribs play vital role in mechanism of respiration. In next class, we will see the exchange of respiratory gases and the partial pressure of oxygen and CO2 in different parts of the body as well as in atmosphere.